Hello, welcome to Y2 Kinema. It's me, Drac, I guess. Zomdog, hey, how are ya? I know, I
Hey.
froze. We've been having some problems. We tried to
Yeah.
record this video yesterday, and that did not fucking happen. So, yeah, we
Same.
uninstalled a lot of programs that we're not using anymore. So we're hoping that it's a good recording session today. Need it. We have a lot of thoughts. This channel will be specifically for movies, I guess TV shows too, or anything like in the film world. You know, doing in-depth analyzation, commentary. Zomdog, do you want to speak to it? Because Zomdog is, secondary host, but like not secondary, but like the second host.
Zomdog or Joey. Our thoughts and opinions on film and I guess TV shows. I've been more into film lately. Sometimes I binge either one.
I agree.
But I'm really excited because we are obsessed with Nosferatu.
For today's video, we'll be discussing Nosferatu. Be referring to the 2025 version, but there are multiple versions of the movie. The most notable one is the 1922 one. Do you have any quick
Have you seen all
comments?
of them?
No, I haven't. Have you?
I saw
You're
the
freezing.
1922 one
Ah!
in school. I saw and then I saw the 2025 one. I've never seen the 1939 one.
Okay, I've never seen any of them except for this one. I went into it completely blind. Sorry, I was really shaken up by the little lag. I was getting kind of scared that we were gonna have a little mishap, but I was just happy to see that we did it.
I know.
I think it's just gonna continue for the rest
We
of the
just gotta
video.
power
So
through.
yes, and it's our
We're
first.
trying our best.
But we're gonna watch the trailer now. I think I'm gonna end up editing just the trailer in, and then we can discuss our commentary
Yeah.
after. But we can still speak about the trailer now, and just see what we get to. But here's the trailer. It is 2 minutes, but it'll be fine. So.
Come to me. Come to me. I've never shared my secret with any soul.
You've had these spells since childhood. Tell me what you can from the beginning.
It is like a dream. It was our wedding. When we turned around, everyone was dead. The stench of their bodies was horrible. Standing before me was death. But I'd never been so happy.
This creature is a force more powerful than evil. Its desire is to consume all life on Earth. Only you can redeem us. He is coming.
There is a devil in this world, and I have met him.
But you could never please me as he could. I'm ready.
Excited, but
Oh my god.
so
I'm
many
jealous.
thoughts from the trailer alone.
Well, wait, you said you went in blind. So did you watch the trailer before you saw the movie?
I really didn't. I only saw like snippets of it. Yeah, when I saw like snippets of Nosferatu, I literally just saw like Lily Rose Depp screaming and then like her little like shaking here and there. And then I knew like historically about it, like the Dracula aspect of it. but nothing more to it. I think it was more just my appreciation for film that like really wanted me to go like see it. So,
Oh yeah.
and I also like going into movies blind because I feel like it just has more of like an impact on me and like or more of like a message.
It's a lot more fun. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'm too
and
nosy.
with this movie specifically, going into it blind was fucking insane. I mean,
I'm jealous actually.
it made me like obviously push like for us to do this because like I mean, it just makes me appreciate film so much because they really definitely looked into like historical context of it, spiritual context, also like linguistically, like how significant certain words are or relatable like to the context of the story as well. Like I would never imagine like the usage flowers, like we'll talk about that later in the video, like how that can be impacted in like Latin or something.
Yeah.
But I guess a quick like thing we could talk about is like this movie is also known as like the symphony of horror, I guess, because like in 1922 I guess that's how it's like referred to, or is that for all the movies, do you know?
Heard that that is only in the title for the original movie, Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror.
Interesting. Okay, because I feel like
Yeah.
they really used
But that's what I was gonna
symphony.
say. I think they really used that part and applied it artistically without saying it in this movie.
Who's
Again, I never saw
the
the 1979 one.
the producer for the movie is
Hey.
Robin Corlan. Respect to him because he got it. He understood the assignment. I feel like the music or the score was really relatable to the scenes as well. I mean, it really made me feel more anxious and like nervous. Honestly, there was a lot of times that I even like wanted to throw up in the movie, from certain scenes just for being like so unsettled. So yeah, they were definitely intentional with everything that they put in the movie, and I just thought like mentioning score was like pretty um important to mention because I also think that's also
Well,
like important in like Dune and stuff, So what were you gonna say?
yeah, but going off of that, how the score was disorienting and such, that also applies to German expressionism. I feel like a teacher right now.
Go off,
Um,
explain
my
it.
professor would be so proud. Maybe, I don't
Send.
know. But German expressionism applies to the time where film was depicting the uncertain times in Germany in around the 1920s. So they applied a lot of visual distortion, well, there was no sound, but that's
I
why in this
see.
movie it makes a lot of sense for Eggers to use it. Hyper excessive performances, like especially Lily Rose Depp, she blew me away
Yeah,
with
I
that
agree.
show inner turmoil, fears and desires of that era. So I feel like obviously that was employed very well in this remake.
Definitely.
And it's always very, or German expressionist movies are very dreamlike. The architectural design is always very jagged, um, overwhelming in a sense. I feel like you get that with the castle,
Yeah.
um, and how I guess Thomas Hutter. Before the gates, it's intimidating because that's how they felt at the time.
Right.
Especially the most recognized theme of German expressionism is the use of light and shadows, which was huge for Eggers, especially as we all know, the hand going over Lily's face,
Yes, over the
and reaching
town.
over the town.
That was
Um,
insane. Like the practical like set design for that, like you could tell, but
exactly.
like it just made it
Well,
so much more real too. I don't
Bill
know.
Skarsgård said, "I am a subscriber of Fangoria." So I got this subscriber cover, and I read the article, and Bill Skarsgård said, I'm probably butchering his last name, but did all the shots literally in front of the camera. Every time we see his shadow, it's not like edited in or anything. He's really standing there. He's really got his hand going over her face in the light, something like that. So I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, again, like everything was so intentional, but I feel like this movie has to be based like on practical arts because of like it's such like
Oh,
more of like a
yeah.
historical movie, not a movie like set in like modern times or like in the future, obviously. But like again, they executed it very well to my
Yeah, and it feels authentic. It was a very analog approach, from the sets, the lighting, and especially all those 50 something candles at a time to do the lighting for certain shots
I was gonna say, like,
is
the movie felt
incredible.
so dark,
But you
but
could see,
yeah, like
which a lot of movies these days piss me off when it's nighttime or dark. I literally can't see
like Game of
anything.
Thrones season 8, the scene between, you know, the biggest battle, you know, between the dead
I
and like
never
the
saw that show.
oh well, that was like the most like intense episode, but you couldn't fucking see anything that season. Like it
No,
was just
that's
so
like
dark, and it wasn't even intentional. It was just fucking dark.
no, that's
But
like
like
me trying to watch Yellow Jackets. Like
I
I
want to watch
think
that
like
too.
I'm like trying to hide any kind of light or sun from the screen, but I still can't see anything. So the fact that he lit this movie with candles and you could still see, and it wasn't overly blue, but you could still feel the gloominess
I would say
and
yeah, like specifically in the tavern scene when Thomas arrives to the gypsy village in
yes,
Transylvania and he gets in the tavern and like obviously they're in shock with why a person from Germany or like a real estate agent is like in the middle of the mountains in Transylvania. Like what
yeah,
the fuck are
yeah.
you doing? So they're
I
stunned
laughed
by
too.
it. But like also there's such an eeriness to it because there's no like civilization out there. I mean it's pretty like brutal wilderness, winter. I mean the movie clearly
Yeah.
takes place in the winter. So I don't know, even with like the candle, I don't even know where I was really going with that, but like again the use of light. I mean I think it made it more significant in relation to like Thomas's downfall or like storyline. I mean he always has like this little bit of light or this little bit of good, but like overall ultimately he's overshadowed
Yes.
by like
Oh, yes.
Orlok and like man, you know, because he is a
I agree
man.
that I read in the Fangoria issue that Eggers immediately said no to filming it in black and white because he said nobody would buy the movie then. But also, I'm glad that it's not in black and white because the desaturation
I was
is
just
so much better.
right.
And I think
It really makes them
either
look sick almost or like ill. Like with
yeah, and
something.
I think someone in the article wrote that it felt more oppressive, which I really liked, and I think
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. And the only bright color you really see in the movie is red when there's blood or something.
Yes, I
Which
didn't
I
even
thought,
think about that. I was gonna say red and blues.
yeah.
But even
And
then, like I
aren't
think
they?
red is even more stronger. Like the blue is still kind of tinted, like a like faded shadow almost.
I feel like since most of the movie color is like blue, that when there is blood and red, like when Ellen is like in his dream or something, she does that happens to her.
It always came off
I
as like
feel like
dark to me, like a dark red, like
it was dark red, but I feel like it was so jarring in comparison to
yeah.
the other colors.
Especially when it would like come out of the eyes or even
Yeah.
projected out of the mouth when they killed the vampires. Spoilers, I guess. Sorry. I mean, I guess it's already
I feel
spoilers.
like
Yeah, if you're watching this.
guaranteed.
So
Then we can get into the nature of how it was basically oppressive because of the lifestyle of the Victorian era and of Ellen.
yeah, I mean, the oppression was beyond materialism. It was like definitely like spiritual oppression too, because Ellen talks about how she was haunted by these dreams and her idea of what her own legend was supposed to be. Really, just like submitting to death, but being happy, being like around death. I don't even know like how to even explain it, you know? But she goes off on this like little monologue of how, you know, she was standing at the altar with Orlok or like standing with like
Yeah, in
the
her
man of
dream.
death, and she perceived and saw everyone around her dead, like her closest ones, but she was happy in that. But like to me,
Yeah.
I also interpreted that as like she's always been like a victim to her own society or a victim to her own like will or desires, because clearly like she's driven by her seduction, but we don't know if that's really like the demonic part of her or like that's her true nature, because she's always battling this good and evil. So like at the end of the day, I really still feel like lost if like is that her true nature of like that true like sexual drive and seduction, or was she literally like just like
I
tormented by
feel
this
like
vampire?
it's a bit more nuanced because I feel like it's both. I feel like she kind of wins in the end because
Yes.
she does have sex with him or sleep with him. Also, she doesn't allow him to withdraw or move on, so he's dead. So she saves everyone, but she also gave herself. So I did write a little bit about that.
It was that her true nature was like she just had a natural like drive for sex, I guess. And I also perceived it as like her and Thomas having premarital sex, because like
I kind of thought about that too. Like I was wondering.
Because like she was even going off, but like remember in the scene where she like does that like crazy like ripping, yeah.
The wolf
Before she goes
meme?
off, she's like, you know, you even took me when no one else wanted to take me in. You know, like she was like she was
Oh.
holding a lot of shame, and I thought to
Mm.
me like that she definitely was like having sex premaritally, even if it was like with other people or.
Reason she felt shame was because her father caught her DJing. But I don't remember that part in the movie.
They don't
I
talk about
remember.
that, so maybe that's in the original one, and maybe in this one they interpreted it differently. Maybe I mean I
Or
don't
maybe
know, or
like
maybe she did.
reference it. I don't
She
know.
fiddled a little.
I don't know. But yeah, sexual repression, shame, and
Yes.
guilt. I feel like were the things that stood out the most to me.
But like even but the thing that throws me off too with that is like the scene where she's at Frederick's house and Thomas is there. This is before he goes to Transylvania and she's like begging him to not go. I believe, or this is when like he returns or something like that. I don't know the timing of the movie. And they literally like do it in the middle of the living room when Frederick is taking his kids to go to sleep upstairs. Like I was like, do you remember when they literally
Wait,
like
they did it? I thought they just kissed.
they kind of had an intense makeout session. I thought it was a lot to be doing that in someone else's home in the living room, like not even in
Oh,
private
but well, I mean,
quarters.
yeah, for the time,
Like,
yes. I thought. Wait, they didn't sleep together in that scene though.
did they not?
I didn't think they did.
I don't know. I feel like they. I don't know. It was a lot of activity going on in the living room, set like alone. But do you have any more notes on that specifically, or I mean, again, we have so much to get into because I mean, like Ellen was obviously the main person of the movie. I would say she's the
Yeah, well,
protagonist, if anything.
or if anything, maybe you can call her. I mean, I agree she's the protagonist, but maybe some people would call her an anti-hero. I don't
I was
know.
gonna say anti-hero as well, only because of the context at the time. Because you know you're kind of like
Yeah.
living in 1863 Germany. You really got to put yourself during that time period. I mean, like if you look at her now, I mean she's like queen to me. Like she's the bad
Oh,
bitch, like
exactly.
protagonist.
Diva.
But I guess anti-hero in some way as well. Because I guess in the end of it, she faces death. I mean, you know
Yeah,
you root
yeah.
for her the entire time. But that's her own way of winning. But I mean, do you want to get into your first notes on Ellen or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, because my first notes are on the whole sexual repression, shame, and guilt, because obviously it stems from the fear of women's sexual freedom prowess, so that they stifle it. And Ellen obviously cannot do that for much longer. She needs it.
I agree.
Tellings of Dracula and Nosferatu, like any kind of vampire movie, women's sexual liberation was seen as threatening to men, therefore society as a whole, which is why it is repressed. They don't want women to be sexually free and empowered.
Right.
Seen as, immodest, unladylike, and the crassness leads to sexual shame and guilt and trying to hide it. So Ellen wants Thomas to stay, to be together. I feel like she admires Friedrich and Anna's relationship and their growing family. And then also she can release herself and do what she believes is probably right in that time to be a mother. Have this kind of shame and guilt, you are obviously feeling isolated, scared. But it also gives you a sort of power within yourself, which I feel like is exactly Orlok's character. He's scary, he's isolated, all alone, and he's a powerful being. So that's ways Ellen most likely feels, including her hysteria without Thomas. And growing up because of a lack of understanding of sex, probably back in the day, and fear mongering, probably from the society, because women were viewed to have little to no sexual appetite.
Right. I mean, I literally
They
saw
were just,
Orlok as like
the
her
host for
reflection
children.
almost. Like her dark reflection. Like even like in the
Literally, like,
shadow scene, like when she's like lifted up and
well,
like
yeah, she's facing him, so it's like a mirror. A scene I did remember from the movie that I wanted to focus on real quick was the scene where Ellen's having a hysterical episode or a vision on the beach.
Yes. Oh my god, that was crazy, that one.
And she's like half in the ocean while she's being possessed, uh touched by, or
Yeah, like I was confused by that. So is that what was happening during that scene?
I think, yeah, every time she was having those moments, it was kind of like the vision of that happening to her, or he was doing that to her. But I think specifically the beach scene when she's in the ocean, I thought was a pretty solid metaphor for nature and humans' inherent sexuality. Because the ocean, I feel like, is often the biggest symbol for nature. It's like,
That's
you
actually
know,
that's honest. Sorry, keep going. I have a point to that, but yes.
the most common metaphor for nature at its purest form, engulfing her in a compromising position and during this moment is almost as if nature and the normalcy of desire is begging for her to realize that and just give in.
Because even with her,
So
like her positioning to the ocean and how close she is, it's almost as if the ocean was like reaching out to her. And always, I feel like the
yeah,
ocean has
literally,
always had like a feminine energy to it, never like masculine. Because I
that's
mean, even
true.
in like Polynesian culture, like if you think of like Moana and like I don't know if Moana, but like a Disney, but like I don't know,
Wow,
like
talking about Moana and Nosferatu at the same table is not
it's
interesting.
insane, but
But
like
you're right, because the moon is also connected to women, and the moon controls the waves.
and
You
I
know
guess
that.
land, in that scene specifically, it's all withered. Like even like the sand dunes, like the plants there, like the plants that like stop the waves, like they're all dead. There was nothing but just like
Dune grass,
yeah,
maybe.
exactly. There was literally nothing but like dust, like dirt, like there
Yeah,
and
it was a
sticks.
very sad-looking beach. I'm gonna be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how the beaches are supposed to be in Germany. I mean, I wouldn't go there for the beaches,
Oh
but
no. Well, maybe I don't know, but it looked like a cemetery more if anything.
yeah, maybe that's the point. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you think her, like, the sexual repression or shame or anything manifests, or any symbolizations or connections you
Oh
can
my
make in
god.
history?
Ah, I don't even know.
Go
I feel
off.
like I'm gonna go lost in this. 'Cause I just feel like there's just so much. I mean, like she's honestly like referred to as beautiful and innocent, and she's presented as beautiful and innocent. Like she's always presented in like white gowns, like for nighttime, which is like very like like milk, like she was presented as like
Yeah,
youth like, and it's never like defined what her age is. And I was given the time period. I'm assuming she's like 16, 18. So like just entering womanhood apparent like most likely, sorry wording.
true.
So like in that maturity, she's probably like at her like
I was gonna
climax
say
or like
that
height of her
that
spiritual
transition is
awakening.
of any kind of sexual feelings, especially if she's on the verge of possible marriage, and or she is married to him or something.
Yeah, and then even like if you think about like moon cycles and like women and
Oh, I know.
we don't know what was happening for her, if she was like even experiencing that or like had
That's
ever
true.
experienced that. I don't know what the history of that is for women's health. I mean, that's interesting topic to look into if that was anything that was even like important or like perceived as important back then. Um, but yeah, I mean, her age was like never defined, but even beyond that, I mean, like you said, she was like, I don't know if you said it, but like haunted by like the oppression and like sin and death through that oppression for like her drive for sex and seduction. And I think she really just genuinely just believes that her fate is to literally be like a second class person or just like submit to this society and be this
Yeah, well,
bad person, like you never see
I was gonna
her.
say, where it feels so taboo, it's so it feels evil to feel that way. You might just want to give in and just be
Right.
like, well, like there's nothing. She's tried so hard to stop it, and it came back. So she's probably like,
And
F
it's like
it.
there's always this battle, and it's beyond the good and evil. There's a battle between like man and woman, in regards to like positions in the family. You see with Frederick and
Oh,
Anna, and
and
then
the way Friedrich treated her, he couldn't handle the hysteria and tied her to the bed.
exactly. Then there's the battle of science and alchemy or mystical science. Um, there's the battle between like I guess like business and family as well because like
That's
in some
true.
aspects Ellen is facing her own battle of either submission or reforming because like her own path of reform would have been moving away to the mountains. I think in some aspects she wanted to go to Transylvania with Thomas, so they could have just settled away out of society and lived like a separate life, because she had nothing holding her back to society. I mean,
Yeah.
her whole family I think was dead or just abandoned her. She viewed them as dead to her. But we see Thomas, he's not willing to reform. He wants to
He doesn't want to
assimilate.
give it up. He wants, yeah, exactly. He wants to be like Friedrich. He wants to have a family and move up in society because they had a very nice house. I think they mentioned that like he's got a lot of money, but like did Friedrich recommend Thomas for the job or something?
I think so. I think it was like, I was honestly lost in that, but honestly, I think
It was only
that
mentioned in
was.
like a quick conversation.
I feel like it was
but
intentional, because I feel like business deals are so done so quickly, and you never really understand the true like meaning of it. Like, it just fucking happens, and it's just like money. So like, honestly, I don't even understand the connection. Maybe it is real, but like, I knew that Thomas worked for the assistant of Count Orlok and the estate owner, the estate manager. I forgot his name. But the older guy, the one that's like working for Count Orlok, who does like the sacrificial.
yeah, the guy that. But he did what?
He did the like the book. You know, he was sacrificing like blood and stuff. Thomas's manager.
That was him?
Yeah, that was the manager, Thomas. You didn't know that?
The guy who bites the pigeon's head off?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the guy who sends Thomas to Transylvania. If you see in the first clip.
I thought that was a completely different character.
No, if you see
And
in
then we just never saw him again. That
and-
makes so much sense.
in the first
'Cause how are
scene-
you gonna get somebody to Count Orlok's house and not know like what he is?
So Count Orlok, I guess, reached out to this assistant in some spiritual way, in like dreams or something.
Probably.
And he put him in the position to send Thomas to Transylvania. And the Count, I'm assuming, promised immortality and wealth, because the estate owner was obviously driven by like wealth and money, and you know, there was people literally homeless and dying, but he had a whole mansion with like all these rooms available at the top of the village that he could just like say like, you know,
Yeah.
house peoples. And I feel like real estate people have always been perceived as like evil, I guess back then. I don't know, in modern day. That's how I
They
saw
definitely
it.
are in the modern day, I think too.
I mean, and you even see too that like every man, with the exception of the alchemist, is really driven by like wealth, money, and power. And for the
And I
alchemist,
feel like their own sexual freedom.
How
Because as
so?
soon as Ellen threatens or comes to Thomas and says he loves me better than you ever could, he immediately has sex with her.
yeah,
Because he's threatened by another man.
that did throw
So
me
they're
off.
like-
Yeah,
They're allowed to express it, and Friedrich with the dead wife.
that was crazy.
I feel like they're able, as soon as they have these urges and desires, and they feel like animals are threatened, they're able to express it. Meanwhile, the women are forced to stifle it and just accept it as.
That's really interesting
it
too, because they didn't even like when they came up to Frederick, I don't even think they saw it as like evil or bad. I feel like they saw it more
No, I
as like
feel
felt
they
bad.
weren't No, they literally said, I don't know if it was before or after, I don't know, but someone said he's grieving.
Yeah, and like
I was like, that's weird.
if roles reversed,
They would have been like, lock her up,
yeah, like exactly, like
fire to the stake.
like oh my, I was so disgusted
Yeah,
by that.
the way they reacted to that was very, very low key. They were probably like, "I get it." Like,
Yeah, and it's
what?
always like subconsciously, but so intentionally, they always have that set up in like every scene. But I also like feel that's very prevalent or I don't know the right word. It's really strong in Ellen's character as well, because like it has similar, I guess, imagery or symbolization to Lilith. And I guess like for Lilith is like the second right hand to, I believe, Lucifer. But
Yes, that's
for
how I
Lilith,
hear.
hers is more driven by love for Lucifer and domination, where Lucifer is just pure domination and like anger and vengeance and hate.
Mhm.
So that's really similar to Ellen's relationship with Orlok, if you think about it, because she's the essence of like the battle between good and evil and love, and I guess in some form wants domination of her own person, with her like sexual drive, but also being subjected to like Orlok's domination, anger, fear. Well, like him inflicting the fear. Also known as like the female demon, associated with disease, storms, chaos, ungodliness. We have mentioned already, especially with the storms, with the time period in Germany. The entire movie is like really dark. There's either a blizzard going on, a rainstorm going on, a monsoon in the middle of the ocean. There's always something going on until the very end.
Completely forgot about that part of the movie.
No, there's
I was like, is he just saying that? Like,
no, like remember when they're on the ship and there's like the thud? Yeah, it was just So
it just hit me all of a sudden. I was like,
the similarities and symbolizations are just very clear that, and even with Lilith, she's just a symbol of battle between good and evil.
I feel like it's also interesting though that you said that she was also more in it, where she had like kind of this desire for love and power.
Yeah.
I feel like that also relates to Ellen in the way at the end of the movie, because she does sacrifice herself to Orlok, probably partially willing, but ultimately her love for Thomas, saving him in death, was a heroic act by giving herself. She was satisfied, her desire finally, but it prevented Orlok from withdrawing and continuing his domination. And she also squeezed Thomas's hand as she died, which I feel like proves that she didn't just succumb to the darkness, but she retained her true self enough and died for love, not just sex.
And that's her ultimate power, her domination.
Boom!
Period. Insane. Yeah, Ellen was a bad bitch from the get-go, and I feel the same with Lilith. And I get the Lilith imagery really too from like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina the Witch from Netflix. Have you seen that show before?
The 90s one, or the one with Kieran Shipka?
Kieran Shipka.
I don't know if I ever finished it, but I watched most of it.
I didn't finish the last season, but
wait, Lilith was like a character.
Yeah, she's in, and also I think I learned about it in Roman history, whatever. But anyways, yeah.
We're smart. We went to college.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, in that show too, and I feel like also in a lot of like films, Lilith is always presented as this woman of power and seduction, but also really driven by this lost love, and never attains it, and that's her own fall.
Yearning.
It's sad, and she's always depressed, and every like sentence she says is poetic, but like nihilistic in some aspect, because she doesn't want to live, but she wants to live for the purpose of love and love alone. And love can be both physical and emotional, but she's not getting either of that from man.
That was really beautiful.
Sorry. So I genuinely just feel bad for her, because like she is, it's fate versus free will.
Exactly.
Because she is presented with this gift of spiritual connection, and that's very clear. No one else can do it, and Orlok is very jealous of it, because that's why Orlok is the way he made the deal with the devil. He also had that book, I'm assuming, the same capacity to what the estate manager had, so Orlok could have this immortality and wealth. But look where that led him to, like just death and disease. And from what I'm assuming is that his kingdom probably succumbed to the same disease that he spread to Wisburg, Germany, once he attained his immortality, because also his whole castle was just infested with rats.
And he looks like he's a corpse too, and you can tell
right.
He's
like the literal like visual representation of disease.
Yeah, like he's
like oozing
and has like weird. Yeah.
Right. So again, with Ellen's fate, she's already presented this power that Orlok literally had to like sell his soul for, and she didn't have to sell her soul. And we think like transactionally, man and woman, man's gonna be jealous of that. Like, given that time period, because man always wants the best of it, the benefit, the profit, to be in the best position.
Mhm.
And Ellen had the upper hand in almost every situation, and that's what led to Orlok's demise, because he never saw that. So again, like I mentioned before, I don't know if this was off the call or during the call, her choices ultimately were like to join death or be death. And I say be death only by her having to sacrifice herself so that everyone in the fucking town doesn't die. Like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
It's a
like
big decision to make for a lot of people you don't know.
right, and
And
this
probably
the very
treat her like
like
shit.
the part that like really makes me sad, yeah, the most is that like these people never gave her a second look. They made her feel the worst. She
Exactly.
never had a home. She depended on the love of friendship by Anna and Anna's innocence, another
Mhm.
woman, to even be
I love
housed in
Anna.
Germany. Exactly. Yeah, so like it's really sad and tragic that like Ellen was so willing to sacrifice herself for all these people that were not willing to sacrifice their own conformity to society.
Yeah. I mean,
um
granted, I know she did want it a little bit, but like in the grand scheme of things, she would have gotten it eventually.
yeah, what do you mean? What?
From Thomas.
Oh, like the D, is that what you're trying to say?
That part, yes.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. um but I don't think I have anything else on Ellen specifically, but I guess the last like final theme is like to not be subjected by man and love, but to be subjected by her own will.
Okay. I just had something about. I know you brought up good and evil. I also had something written about good versus evil. That there's, uh, according to, if you're like a Christian, but there's like this wisdom of resisting our most animalistic desires in pursuit of peace and love, which are essentially the two things that are the opposite of sin. And they can only exist when we deny ourselves for the greater good, the greatest good. Um, so I feel like that's what Ellen was kind of going through by, her trying to stifle those feelings down
You just
was to
made my light bulb go off, bro.
the wisdom inherently was wise. I forgot the word wise. It's inherently wise to resist things that you're drawn to, as a human, your inherent animalistic desires in pursuit of peace and love that are the opposite of sin. And those can only exist when we deny ourselves the sinful things or what the animalistic desires for the sake of the greatest good.
It kind of relates to occultism and spiritualism and the historical significance of the movie. So if we go,
Perfect segue.
yes, yes, yes. So if we get into it, the 1922 version, it's the most notable, I would say. It's the silent version of it. It was made directly after World War One, and World War One is most notable for mass death, disease, rats, the hierarchy between the wealthy and the not wealthy, and also like religious significance, and I guess imperialism and like spreading politics. So the three.
Which is what German expressionism came from, because I didn't go into the historical part of it, but
We're
that's
about
why
to.
the stylistic it
We're
comes
getting
from
into
the
it.
Germany being like this. Okay, continue. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, don't say sorry. You're connecting it, babes. So for World War One, the director, the producer, and the actor from the 1922 version actually were like part of World War One. Like they served.
Oh,
Um, and this what drove them to make this film and really explore occultism and spiritualism because, with the territories that they were encountering, they eventually ended up in Serbia and like in that Transylvania area or region where like in the mountains, high mountains, winter. Um, Grau is his name. The producer Albin Grau, the director F.W. Murnau, and then Murnau, I believe, and the actor Max Schreck. He's the count. Those are the three that were in
yes.
World War One. Grau, the
Oh,
producer.
Max Shrek too?
Yeah,
Oh, I
insane.
didn't know that.
So Grau specifically encountered a farmer in Serbia, and this farmer believed that his father had risen from the dead and became a vampire. And we see this in like, you know, when Thomas reaches the village and the gypsies, they're literally
Oh.
fearful of like the undead. And
Well,
I mean,
because he's a vampire at that point, right?
who, Thomas or no?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Thomas wasn't. He wasn't bit yet.
Oh, when he sees the women.
Yes.
he's-
So yeah, you see these themes of like, again, the undead and being fearful of it. The region as well in the movie. And then Grau also implied that the vampire can only be defeated by a blood sacrifice. That was also something that's like relates to occultism and spiritualism, that, you know, something that's really rebellious to Catholicism and Christianity.
The evil part of what I was saying was that, you know, while that peace and love and denying yourself is for the greater good, evil is for the sake of yourself at the expense. Why did I say it like that? At the expense of others. For example, Orlok's plague. You know, he's killing everybody for the sake of him reaching Ellen.
All
for-
driven by like, I guess, self-proclamation or self like.
Well,
Well, you don't really
Satanism
like.
is also depicted in a lot of movies as something you do to reach a goal. Like people, like Jennifer's
Right.
Body. The band wanted to be famous, so they think they're sacrificing a virgin to get that. You know.
Okay. Period.
People turn to Satanism for selfish reasons, exactly for the sake of yourself, at the expense of other people.
And that's what Count Orlok did. You know, with that dead castle. You know, maybe the gypsies were once part of his reign. We'll never know. But he lived in that castle alone by himself. But I guess back to occult too. The Latin word meaning. This is what I wanted to get to. In Latin, it means secret. But it's also known as hidden or forces invisible to the human eye. You know, Count Orlok, he is invisible to the human eye. I mean, you never really see him
That's
be
true.
visible to humans until like they're facing death. So I guess in some capacities, he also like
Well, I don't
the
even
Grim
know. I don't
Reaper.
think anyone else.
You know,
Yeah.
like because like
I don't think
Anna.
anyone else ever even saw him except for Thomas, Ellen.
I think Anna saw him when
I think
he
maybe Anna saw. Yeah,
killed
you're right.
the
Like when they
children.
were dying.
So I think he was like the representation of death to them, and maybe they never understood what he really was, and Ellen always saw him as Count Orlok or like another being, and I guess
Well, the
that
nuns saw him, right?
I don't know, maybe.
I keep calling them nuns. I don't know if that's what they were.
I don't think they were nuns. I think they were just like priestess, I guess, or like
Yeah,
maidens.
but they were afraid when Thomas came
Right.
out of the castle.
But
They
they
were
were
afraid.
they referred
and
to him
they
as
were
the
saying-
devil, though. I think they didn't refer to him as like the
Oh.
count. I think they referred to him as the devil. I'm gonna re-see it, but I don't know. They could.
Oh, that goes along with what you were saying though, that they only see him as death, so they don't know him as Count Orlok or like as a person. But like they're saying, if he continues to leave, because they wanted Thomas to stay,
Right.
that if he continues to leave, he's bringing death with him.
And in some way too, Lilith humanizes Lucifer, so Ellen's like humanizes Orlok through her own lens, if you think too, because she's so
Yeah.
willing to like also like not willing, but like
She's
she-
seen him more than anyone else. She's the one that has visions.
right. So I don't know. That was pretty cool relation to the occult, I thought. And I don't even know anything else that we can really talk about for the occult. I feel like that could be its own video, because the occult is so much
Yeah.
history. But or maybe we could do like a part 2 to this video. But I guess
I love the occult.
it's so interesting to me, because there's so
Me
much
too.
like cultural variation in it. Like it's not just like in one, you know. But for this movie, I also wanted to know from the book The Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic, which was released in 1854 and 1856, so really prevalent.
Oh. Okay.
And this again, it's the bridge to the modern divide between science and religion. And there's like a whole ton of chapters, and I believe this is the same book that the assistant to Count Orlok was reading. And one of the chapters is like the candidate, the pentagram, I don't know. There's other things that we can look into if you want to. But one of the sentences that really stood out to me was like, "In principio eris verbum, I am who and whom, and by whom the world manifests." And I feel like that's Ellen's, you know, real statement.
Yeah.
I am he in whom and by whom the world manifests. Like Ellen and Orlok, because Orlok really does.
She's like the vessel in which
Exactly.
he can,
Exactly.
affect other people.
And another one that stood out to me was the man who is enslaved by his passions or worldly prejudices can be initiated in no wise. And we see that Orlok was subjected to this by his own desire for domination. And I wouldn't say
Hmm.
love, but like possessiveness in Ellen, or like,
Yeah. I feel like only at the very end there's a slight, like literally like a little tinge of character in Orlok that seems like he could be feeling more than he ever felt in the movie. Like, does that make sense? Like, maybe he feels a
I
little more
think
human.
I think it was when he almost, it was like his last encounter with the assistant. I think when, when he sets the assistant up to be in the coffin, so because he knows that like they're gonna try to kill him, so he puts the assistant there. But this, like,
Oh, I thought it
I'm
was when he's
digressing.
just about to die.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, because by that point when he's like with the assistant at their last encounter, I feel like there is some moment where he's like, I want her, because like he's jealous of Thomas. Like, I feel like there was that
Yeah.
little slither of love in there. But what was the moment for you?
No, I feel like both can be true. I feel like it's just in general that the way Bill Skarsgård played the role was that it was mostly like non-human. So in these little moments of like he could feel something. I thought just at the end when he finally had Ellen and got what he wanted, and like he kind of like when he goes to finally kiss her, he kind of almost caresses her face before
Yeah,
basically
like with care.
eating her.
I thought he
Yeah.
was gonna like indulge in
That was gonna be a little
pleasure, but
more.
it was pleasure for
Yeah.
him than her own.
Yeah.
Man taking control and
That
only focusing
ending
on him.
scene was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. That ending shot
I,
with the
f-
sun
I feel like they
and
should have
them
ended it with
laying.
Lilith, or Lilith with Ellen. Like, I guess, wait, did it end with, or was it with William Dafoe's character looking out into the sun? I forgot. I think it was the overhead
I thought
shot of Ellen.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That was so beautiful to me. I
no,
see
yeah.
it every day in my head.
But I think this also refers to our last couple points. For going back to the producer Growl. Growl detailed that Orlok is the manifestation of Belial, or like the manifestation of like Ellen's sin. But the way I refer to it was also the seed of Belial. But Belial is one of the lords in hell. He's associated with disease, seduction, and domination. He's a fallen angel. And in Hebrew, it translates to worthless, yokeless, may he have no rising, and never to rise. So I feel like all of those 4 points kind of are really significant to Orlok's character and every man in the movie. If we look at worthless,
I agree.
the contract between Orlok and Lucifer, or like the devil, or like the contract between the book, whatever, it was kind of worthless because, I mean, it got him to immortality, but what did it get him at the end of the day? Domination over a dead kingdom, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that was worthless, that contract alone. And then yokeless, we didn't see that he had any like offspring with that. He didn't have any love. Thomas and Ellen didn't have any family. They were the only people that relationship we didn't see have a family.
Yeah.
And then the next, like, may he have no rising. I feel like that was prevalent for every man in it. Like Thomas, he never attained either the wealth and the love.
Yeah, they never attained anything they wanted.
And no
Thomas
character, literally.
never got what he wanted with which was the better job with the better money in the hell in their future. Friedrich never had his namesake born, his son. Literally lost everything.
Yep,
Orlok dead.
exactly. So it's like,
I like that.
This is insane for like the
Men not getting what
translation.
they want.
Yep. And I guess the last thing, never to rise. Orlok never rises. And if you like when the sun rises, Orlok never rises. No, Orlok lays. He's laid to
That's
bed.
true.
He only rises in the dead of night. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty
True.
cool. So I guess the other notes I had was like loss of family, loss of business, damages, buried no children, and the only man to rise was the one who reformed, William Dafoe, William Dafoe's character, the alchemist.
The professor.
Yeah.
Von Franz. I
Yeah,
don't
because
remember his
even
first
like
name.
his student, the guy who was investigating the whole time, I don't even know that character's name.
The doctor.
We didn't really see
Wilhelm.
him. He didn't really win at anything. If anything, he was proven wrong. That his own
Yeah.
knowledge and will to learn is damaged. You know.
Well, Willem Dafoe's character was the only one that I feel like truly maybe not understood Ellen, but was willing to understand and understood what she felt like she had to do and the sacrifice she had to make. No, everyone else thought she was hysterical and
Because
had
he
to save her
also
until it was too late.
experienced. I think he didn't experience the same prejudices as her, but he did face prejudices to the
yeah.
fact that like to the point that he was exiled.
Friedrich was saying, "I'm not listening to this guy. He
Exactly.
believes in blah blah
He
blah,
like questioned
abracadabra."
his integrity and his, I guess, knowledge overall.
Well, the professor that or the doctor that was his student movie Wilhelm
Yeah.
did say that when he started dabbling in the alchemy was that he was, I think quite literally he says in the movie, exiled from the professional or university
And went to like
sphere.
Switzerland or like the Alps or something like that.
Yeah.
The mountains. So important. The mountains. I don't even, there's so much to like even talk about. Like I even have like vampire context, like so recognized as ethereal and corpse-like in this time period. If we're looking at the 18th century, and 19th century, Count Orlok sold his soul, practiced dark alchemy, chasing immortality, and then if we relate that to the alchemist, you know, there's like the elixir of immortality. So I guess I don't know. It's a lot of themes of like mystical magic, occultism, spiritualism, conforming to society, Victoria. Like there's like so much in this like 2 hours that I don't even feel like we can dissect everything just yet.
When Thomas brought her lilacs and she got mad because she doesn't like because flowers die. Because flowers die. She was like, they're gonna die in 3 days anyway. She didn't want them, gave them back to him. And then later in the movie, Orlok gives her the ultimatum timeline. She has 3 days to come to him or whatever. So I really liked that.
It's like final comments. What do you want to say? Anything? Nothing? Do you recommend the movie?
Final comments. I was absolutely blown away. Unlike Nick, I did know about the movie for quite some time before anything was released. Back when Anya Taylor-Joy was supposed to play Ellen, Harry Styles was supposed to be in it.
Wait, what?
Ew, sorry. Yes, he was in talks to be in it.
I don't think Anya Taylor-Joy
and
would have been the right person for the movie. I think they did really well with Lily Rose Depp.
See, I really love Anya, and I think
I
she
do
would have
too.
done a really good job. But I think they would have went about it in 2 completely different ways. So I feel like we can never really know how Anya would have played it. I feel so bad, Lily. I was not familiar with your game at all. The Uncle did you so dirty.
The big head bit. What is it? The big bald-headed bitch. Sorry, Lily Rose. I love you. I love you. Yes.
Yeah. Did you so dirty? I have only ever seen your little cameo in Tusk before that.
Didn't even see it.
I was not familiar with how amazing you were going to be, and I literally wrote in my Letterboxd review that you were absolutely entrancing. So I think everybody needs to see this movie. It was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I'm jealous you're seeing it again. I wish I could see it on Saturday, but I
Go see it again. We can maybe see it again together. We can stream it here.
yeah.
But like you literally like stole every word out of my mouth. Like I don't even know what more to say to that. Like I scored a 5 out of 5. If you love horror movies, go see it. If you want to see a movie about spiritualism and like Sweeney Todd-esque aesthetics, go see it without the
We need
musical.
more.
Like
Yeah, we need more weird, gothic, scary, horny people.
I
to make
agree.
movies.
And the right actors and cast, like the people who actually want
Exactly.
to be there and act and understand the story because like I feel like the whole cast understood in some capacity. I don't feel like there was any
They
misunderstanding.
understood the assignment.
Right.
Fucking Bill Skarsgård changing his voice and studying opera to lower his voice. Literally unrecognizable. That man is a
And
treasure.
I think Lily Rose Depp also studied with a contortionist. Like
yes.
so like again, insane things. We definitely will have more movie reviews coming. We'll take suggestions, we'll take recommendations for any other movies to watch. And hopefully
Yes.
maybe this could become like a bi-weekly or weekly thing, depending how long it edits. I had a lot of fun being here. I don't know about Zomdog. I think she maybe hates
Me
me, but it's okay.
too.
Oh my god! Ah, I love you. Okay, sorry. We're gonna go scissor.
I literally had so much fun.
I had
literally had
a
so much
lot of
fun with
fun.
this.
I can't wait to kiss with the bottom lips. But with that, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to our channel. Y2 Kidamo. And yeah, I guess that's everything, right? Bye. You wanna say bye? Bye.
Bye.